showtime.
Dynamite Download.
Welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling.
This is what pro wrestling should feel like.
Oh, you guys, positive energy.
I think that created a little moment in itself.
You're saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
No, Mariah May, she said boom.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
That you need to be careful in the locker room.
I definitely think that women's wrestling has been elevated.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
I never say never about anything.
Yeah.
Raw horse.
Raw horse?
Oh my god!
Amazing.
I had to smack him around a few times to fully gain his respect.
Frankie's match.
Awesome.
This podcast is quite frankly the drizzling shit, if I'm being quite honest.
Did they spread positivity about AEW?
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Woo! Welcome to Dynamite Download. Tonight is a tornado of awesome. I am Mindrunner, and with us is, of course, the SPD. What's going on, dude?
What is up, everyone? Happy second show of the new year. I'm pumped. Tonight is going to be an awesome show. We have a special guest coming on later in the show, plus tomorrow's our draft, man. I'm pumped, man. I got my notes. I got my draft, strategy in my mind. I've been thinking about it ever since the last season ended, so I'm excited about that. And, man, sorry to hear about that, Brian. I hear some of the craziness that's going on the West Coast, and seeing what you're writing right now, I'm glad things are starting to stabilize. I got a few friends out there that were in the zone, and then it kind of slowed down a little bit, but we're tracking it, and we're hoping and praying for everyone out there on the West Coast that they can stay safe while these crazy wildfires are starting to get under control out there. But as always, everyone, thanks for tuning in. You're home for all positive coverage on all elite wrestling, as well as the wrestling world. And because we stay tuned into the whole wrestling world, and we are ready to bring you some great stuff. Dynamite, Kenny Omega, the man himself, by God, Kenny Omega is back in AEW. And if you saw his promo on AEW Social, he's not just back for special appearances. He's back to take that throne, and I'm excited the way that ended in Dynamite last night. But, whew, man, overall, man, looking at the card and the show and how it turned out, I know we didn't have typical AEW jam-packed the wrestling. Yep. However, we had a lot of things. You got to take the good with I'm not saying the good with the bad, but you got to take the good promos with the wrestling, and so you got to give it a little give and take. So it did give us a lot of storyline additions, storyline stretching, and I think next week's show is going to be one that's just going to be pounded full of awesome wrestling. And
Maximum Carnage.
Yeah, Maximum Carnage. A lot of things last night set that up.
Yep.
And I know you're pumped because they announced the Casino Women's Gauntlet match, which just as quick as we got one last night with the men's, we're getting a women's one next week.
Yes, and the women's, the winner of the Casino Gauntlet match gets a title shot at Grand Slam Australia. Now, there's a lot of contenders. We'll talk a little bit about that. There is a certain rookie from Australia that a lot of people are looking at, but also we also got to see a promo from the women's wrestling champion, the AEW women's champion, Mariah May, had an incredible promo. She's putting everybody on notice. And on this Saturday at Collision, Mariah May, she's going to feel the wrath of Harley Cameron. Yep, that's true. She's going to she's going to feel the wrath of Harley Cameron.
Gosh, Harley Cameron is so dang good.
Harley Cameron needs to be protected at all costs.
You're right.
Just inserting her in everybody's promo. I would love to see the Casino Gauntlet. Like, I would love to see a battle royal or something like Casino Battle Royal or something where Harley Cameron gets in and then gets eliminated, and then Harley Graham comes in and wrestles and then gets eliminated. I mean, I think that would be tremendous. Speaking of which, look what we got in the chat, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God, is that a private chat party?
You know, maybe, all right, tell us in the chat. Thank you, by the way, Brian Raz. Thank you so much.
Thank you, BR.
Thank you, BR. Maybe we need, you guys tell us, do we need a Bring the Boom super chat party? Do we need a Rizzler chat party? We bring the boom. We bring the boom to everyone. Let us know in the chat if we need to bring the boom.
Honestly, I like that song better than that Private Party song, even though I like the Private Party video better.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny. Maybe
right,
we'll just have a couple of different ones, and then maybe they'll be associated to people.
Yes.
So
yes.
you know, Brian, we could talk to him or whoever sends a super chat party. Like, who do you want to be your super chat party theme song? So that way it's associated. So you could be trolling the chat and sending us super chats, and you don't want the boom, but you want to troll everyone who doesn't like the boom, so you can keep going with that. So
put recommendations in the chat of which ones.
No one wants the boom.
I'm getting the stink guy from Full Tilt Dev already.
I know.
She's not a fan of the boom. You don't like the chocolate chunk, double chunkity Costco cookie?
Too much.
No.
No, I know. I'm with you. I'm with you all on that one.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts. Go ahead. Yes.
But I want to talk about, let's kick things off with the gauntlet match, the men's gauntlet match, which was last night. I love the way it turned out, and this is the match that we're actually going to get out of it. A little bit of rematch retribution that Powerhouse Hobbs is going to get from his original injury match, which he was like, I loved him in that match back in April. It's hard to believe it was April, but I kind of like the way the match was panning out. I was really surprised, and I was really happy that they were bringing out more and more. I mean this in the most respectful way, like A-list talent, main event talent. And so it was even the commentator team. I forget who it was. Might have been Ian, about talking about like higher caliber, in a sense, talent for this match. And other than a few ones here and there, but I felt like the standouts of this match, even before we got the results, were Powerhouse Hobbs and the Murder Hawk Monster. Those two guys going back and forth. The crowd was eating them up, the meat chants, and then just the guys got their stuff in, and they were able to really showcase all that. And I think both guys, regardless of the result of this match, stock rose a lot, and because of their dominant performances. And it, you know, having Hobbs and having Archer in the ring and being able to just toss around the likes of Ricochet, Adam Cole, and others, just they're playing catch. It's like playing pickleball with Ricochet in the ring, and their stock just rises to me instantly, just showing their force of nature that they can stand. Even the guys like Jay White, who's just like an architect in the ring. When you have Archer and Hobbs being able to manhandle him, it goes a long way, and I loved seeing it out of those big men. Out of that, I love a good big man in the ring, and it was great.
Oh well, maybe we need a meat super chat also. Meat. I love that Hobbs was doing his chest, his pecs with the meat. I thought that was really cool. Yes, I agree 1,000% what you're saying. I don't think it's a slight to say this was a lot of A-listers. You compare this to the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal.
Oh yeah,
where you pretty much knew who was going to win. It was either going to be Adam Cole or Kyle O'Reilly, probably Adam Cole. But this one, there were a lot of storylines. There were a lot of major players in this.
Sure.
And for Powerhouse Hobbs to be the one to come out of this winning, huge pop. You know, I think a lot of people were thinking maybe Jeff Jarrett was going to somehow win, but you had Jay White, you had Hangman. MJF was supposed to be in it, but as we saw later, he chose not to. Interesting take on that. But what a great thing. And then later on, when Renee interviewed him, which I thought was fantastic, he said, let's shoot for a minute. And he went back to when John Moxley essentially brought him aboard. And we all remember way back, this was pandemic time when they're at Daly's place, that John Moxley brought Powerhouse Hobbs aboard. Of course, Hobbs then turned on him, joined the Team Taz, I think, at the time. But this Powerhouse Hobbs has been one of John Moxley's guys for a long time. I think that's incredible. Prediction.
Yeah, hot take alert.
How do you feel about this? I think you know where I'm going with this. I think Powerhouse Hobbs and Mox are going to have an incredible banger. It's going to be insane. After the match, I don't think Hobbs is going to win the championship. However, I think what's going to happen is Moxley is going to reach out his hand and recruit Hobbs to join the Death Riders and possibly say, well, we need to make room. If you take out Yuta, you're in the club, and then just have Power Hobbs throw Yuta through the roof and then join. But anyways, Full Tilt Deb, though, of course, you know, the always wise. She says she'd like to see the AEW champ change hands more. I agree. Perhaps Powerhouse Hobbs could be the one. How would you feel about that?
You know, I would have always, I mean, in our award show, Hobbs was my breakout star of 2025, and he's already proving to be breaking out right now.
Yep.
And so that would just be the cherry on top. That would be like the quickest breakout of the year, in my opinion. As much as I would love this, I would 100% support it and would love to see it. I don't really see it happening anytime soon because there's so much more feuds brewing in the witch's pot of Moxley with that belt.
Yeah.
And I think the target kind of goes away if he doesn't have the belt, even if he is being a menace in AEW. So not only does Moxley need the belt to be more relevant for people to chasing him, yes, free the AEW championship, that's for sure. I would love to have Hobbs be a champion. I foresee him being a world champion in AEW 100%. The guy's got it all. He's the total package. His growth year after year after year. I love the pop at the end of the night and the scared faces of Mox and the other guys. When Hobbs came out, I was like, damn, hell yeah, this is great. And so picking him for my breakout star 2025 is really starting to look good so far, man.
Yeah.
However, I don't see him turning a heel this quick. As much as we've talked about in the past, big men joining the Death Riders and Death Riders getting more arsenal per se, Hobbs has worked his way to become a very prevalent babyface since his return, and it was working. So it's not like he needs to do it. You know, I think he's more beneficial on Team Babyface, and I think he's needed more better on Team Babyface at the moment. And so maybe we will get that possible ask of him to join the Death Riders, but then he'll turn them down, and then he'll even get more of a pop.
I love it. I love seeing Powerhouse, and I love that putting him in that position where, you know, he's talked about, like, you know, it's kind of like how Swerve and now they're doing with Jay White. We're putting those people in title positions. And granted, he may not come out as champion next week, but he's now in the conversation. And the way that they scattered away when Hobbs got in the ring, I thought that was tremendous. I thought that was incredibly fantastic. What a great, I mean, like, there were a lot of promos, a lot of stuff, but what an awesome night. What an awesome group of matches there. I think it's setting up a lot of stuff. What did you think of MJF's choice not to enter the gauntlet and then make that reach that hand out to Jeff Jarrett?
You know, I felt like this promo was impactful for both guys. However, I felt like it ran just a little bit long, which whatever, that's fine. It's not that's over nitpicking, but I felt like these guys delivered a great back and forth. It's setting up a feud, obviously, between these two. And, you know, in typical MJF fashion, he's going to pick and choose his battles. He's going to look for the low-hanging fruit wherever it may be. And so whether that is joining some kind of battle royal there or the gauntlet match, maybe the last, and trying to sneak a win, or enter and then stay on the outside and kind of
Mhm.
sneak a win, a sneak a pin, or whatever it is. So he's looking for that low hanging fruit. So I enjoy like how many different layers that we're getting in Dynamite every single week. Like this is just another layer that has just been established early, or since these two have been in the ring together. And so I like the back and forth, the history that he's doing. But man, before we go any further, I got to talk about the biggest elephant in the room, the return of the god of pro wrestling, Kenny Omega. I mean, this was long. I mean, if you saw his match in New Japan, it was incredible match, incredible performance all around. I mean, he is back better than ever. And, a couple things you got to read between the lines of some of his promos too. And I love the way this panned out, especially when he went right after Don Callis right away. As soon as he came out, like, and the commentator team did a great job of just saying like, oh, no one's been able to get their hands on it. And, alumni of Dynamite Download, the Machine Brian Cage, going to be going toe to toe with the best wrestler alive, Kenny Omega, in his return after over a year out. That's showing confidence in Cage. That's showing, Kenny Omega, I'm sure, handpicked him, and that's really awesome. I love that, and we're going to see an awesome pairing with that. And I think that's definitely a test that Kenny Omega is going to have, because Cage has clearly shown he can go toe to toe with pretty much everybody, and he's not just a big man. He's a big man that can be powerful. He can flip. He's got a great arsenal of moves. But Kenny Omega's back. I think it's just going to help elevate AEW to the next level. And I want him to be treated like that. I've seen a couple things online. I want him to be treated like the final boss, like a Roman Reigns. I think he needs that treatment. And it's time to give Kenny Omega that top dog, royal red carpet treatment, and on not a part-time level. Like, he's gotten great treatment, but I think he needs to just be the center focus. I love he got the main events to close out the show, got a little teaser at the end. So how are you feeling about the return of Kenny Omega?
I'm loving it. Of course, it was scary, that whole thing. I mean, it was real. Like, we could have lost him. But I was worried that he's going to come back and is going to be like kind of how Adam Cole kind of gently came back. Are we going to be worried about him getting injured again? But if you watched the New Japan match with Gabe Kidd, that was insane. And I mean, that's like, this was shades of his feud with Moxley in 2019 at Full Gear when they went lights out match. I mean, he did this incredible dive over the barricade and into the crowd, and I think he knocked Bryce Rumsberg out. Knocked him out. There was so much just watching him. And one of the things I like about Kenny is he is selling that injury. And of course, Murder Hawk comes out. Murder Hawk and Kenny. Murder Hawk, it's funny, is Murder Hawk has a lot of matches in Japan. He's actually more over in Japan. He needs to be over in AEW more too. But pairing him with Brian Cage, I mean, the Murder Machines is fantastic. But I think Kenny's going to be. I think he's back. It's going to be great. It's going to be great to see him. Of course, eventually he might be the one that's going to save AEW from Moxley and this whole thing. But that Omega and Kid match, I highly recommend if you get a chance to go back and check it out. I only knew Gabe Kidd before, when he had hair and no facial hair. When Joe Hendry did a spoof promo on him it was years ago, called him a jobber. But Gabe Kidd was fantastic. He really impressed me. The whole New Japan, the whole Wrestle Dynasty card was fantastic. Mercedes Moné had another incredible show. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of our Dynamite Download family. They're not quite feeling the Mercedes Moné right now, but I guarantee if you checked out her battle with Mina Shirakawa, it's great. But I'm excited for Kenny. I'm excited for Maximum Carnage. I also think we might see some surprises. I have a feeling there might be a certain Brazilian Mama Bear coming back at the Gauntlet. Whether or not she wins, I don't know, because I think they want a certain Australian to win. And we all know who that Australian is. It's certainly... Of course, it's going to be Harley Cameron. But I'm excited for Maximum Carnage. I think it's going to be great.
I mean, real quick on that women's match, I think just as we saw in the men's gauntlet, I feel like this is such a great opportunity, as you have spoken very heavily on, to showcase the division's depth. And so this is a perfect opportunity, just like any Royal Rumble, is to show, have the returns of Ty and have other wrestlers who haven't necessarily been showcased the last few months being able to return here, whether they win or lose or not. At least they're going to be able to be on TV and be like, oh yeah, this is part of the depth of the roster. So I love that this style of match. As I spoke before, Royal Rumble is my favorite kind of gimmick matches, that and a ladder match. And so this style kind of giving you the best of what Royal Rumble has, as well as great wrestling, instead of just kind of pure chaos in the ring. And so I love that AEW has done this. And I'm excited to see what's in store with this, because if it's anything like the men's one last night, this one's going to definitely be must see.
I'm super excited, but I don't know if I have to turn the air conditioner on, but it just suddenly got real hot in here. I don't know if there's something something cooking around here. If I know our hearts and prayers go out to the folks in California. We don't want to make any light of that situation, but I do feel like there might be a tornado heading our way. I don't know if that's happening. I don't know if there's a tornado coming. But
I don't check the forecast. Let me check it.
Let's check the forecast.
Go to our
Tornado in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Fuego del Sol, more like Fuego del Swole. Dude's been eating his Wheaties. Look at the guns. Fuego, how you doing, buddy?
I'm like a broke toenail. I'm barely hanging on. No, I'm having a good time. It's snowing really, really bad here in Oklahoma at the moment, which we haven't got any snow all winter. So it's the first big snowstorm. So I'm just trying to stay warm. But luckily, when you're Fuego del Sol, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, it must be easy to shovel the driveway when you just walk out there and it just melts away as you walk.
Exactly. Walking fireball. It's a good time. It's a good day.
It's
Very
wild,
cool.
the snowstorm coming. I live in South Carolina. I just left today for work to go north, and the whole town is shutting down. They don't know how to prepare for that. And me being from the north originally, I mean, school didn't even close for a foot of snow, let alone the whole town shutting down for 1 to 2 inches of snow coming in South Carolina. So, man, it's a wild storm front coming through.
Yeah, I got to fly to Denver tomorrow from Dallas, and so many roads are closed. So I'm really worried about my travel plans this weekend.
Right, you got a match tomorrow.
Speak. Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But definitely wish me luck and good vibes tomorrow.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish anybody any trips at the airport at this point. I mean, even when the weather's clear, the airport's been pretty rough lately. But heading to the Mile High Land for tomorrow, and then of course next weekend at PW Adrenaline. And I understand now it's a tag team match. You and by the way, let's throw some F's in the chat or some tornadoes in the chat for Fuego in the chat. Let's get the chat going here. We got tornadoes. We got fire and tornadoes. Everybody blowing it up. Very cool. I love. By the way, I've been a huge fan of your Twitch stream. I love the new digs here versus the old. The old one seemed a little more confined, but I got your Funko Pops representing, and always a good time if you get a chance to check out Fuego's Twitch streams. It's always a good time.
I appreciate that, man. I enjoy doing them, and it's just a good way to connect and a fun way for people to see my personality. You know, I'm playing games, I'm talking about wrestling, I'm watching wrestling, so I always appreciate that shout out.
If you get a hype train, you never know. Fuego might get jiggy with it a little bit. Might bust it out. How's our little Fuego doing? How's the
oh my goodness, man! They canceled school today because of the snow, so they've been sledding all day. They've had a great time. They've tired themselves out. yeah, it's been a good day for the little Fuegos. They've sledded and played in the snow all day long. So it's been they've enjoyed themselves today.
Very, very cool. Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're super excited to have you with us and super excited to chat with you. I huge love your story. Love the way that you were able to. Of course, I first saw you on Sammy's vlog, and the way that that moment, of course, when Sammy came out with the contract. I mean, Niagara Falls, man.
Great.
Everybody was loving that. But again, that's just the beginning, and I do feel like. Do you feel like in this time right now that whether you're with a program like AEW or WWE or working the independents with social media and the way, are we kind of in that wrestling renaissance now, or getting into it where independent shows are becoming so much bigger themselves? I mean, guys like Matt Cardona out there just showing that you can make the grind without having to be signed anywhere. And of course, if you're a superstar like Fuego, I mean, your star shines bright everywhere.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, we've been in a new boom period the past few years. It's funny though, because I feel like pre-pandemic, you had independent wrestling companies that had more buzz, right? So you only had like a select few top independent companies that would like actually get buzz. Now, since the birth of AEW and wrestling being on 5, 6, 7 days a week, pretty much at this point, I think it's harder to get buzz in that sense, but there's plenty of places to work. Yeah. I think now with the WWID program, you don't even have to have major buzz on the indies. If you attend the right seminars and just keep grinding, you never know, you could get picked up, even if you don't have the big name value that you think is necessary, that used to be necessary to get signed. It's a good day. You never know. One AEW show could come to your town and you could get on AEW Dark and you could be signed the next week. Same thing. You could do one Gabe Sapolsky seminar and get signed to WWID next week. It's a great time to be an independent wrestler if you put in the work and put in the grind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with social media, like nothing goes undocumented like these days, which is the good, the bad, and the ugly with a lot of stuff. And so you could take it and run with it. A lot of people have been doing that. And it's funny because the beginning of our intro video of our show at the end, there's back when we were at All Out in Chicago 2021, QT Marshall makes a shout out to Dynamite Download. And on the panel, it was part of Sammy's vlog. It was you, Marco, QT. I think Alan was there. It was like
Griff, Sammy. Yep.
Aaron Solo was behind QT
there. Yeah. So it's almost like looking in a crystal ball of like, now you're on our show. Marco was on our show. QT was one of our early guests on our show. And so almost like trying to get all the guys. We've had Griff on our show. So, and all people like we love to watch and support. And, our whole show has been spreading positivity and spotlight on these. It doesn't have to be the superstars, or just, we love to see the small, like the growth. Like your story was so fun to follow, and the crowd renaissance, the crowd tornado that got behind you every time you got in the ring, whether it be on Dark or Dynamite or anything. And it was just so fun. And that's how we really just, back in the early days of AEW, we were like, man, this is just so fun to root for. And it's just such a great story. During your time in AEW, and I guess now, like, who are some of the main key mentors that were really helping in your corner that we might not necessarily have thought obvious, like a QT or someone like that?
Well, yeah, there's definitely some obvious ones, Cody Rhodes being a big one, QT Marshall being a big one. But then there were some smaller things that happened along the way that I feel like helped me out a ton. I mean, Lance Archer is also another Texas guy. Now, I'm living in Oklahoma, but I wrestle the most probably in Texas, and he's always looked out for me. I mean, to this day, like I did AEW a few weeks back, and he made sure I had a hotel room to stay at, So it's like Lance has always been the man and a believer in me. And so I always want to shout out Lance. Even a couple times he bought my flight to Jacksonville for AEW Dark. Yeah. Incredible. So like it was big shout out to Lance Archer. He's a monster, but he's also a softie at heart. So he's gonna be mad I said that, but I'll say it.
Well, no, we had him on our show a few months ago and love talking about him. We've been trying to get him on a show for, I feel like, years, and had to do the old AEW media dance for a while, and it finally worked out, and it was just great. And those are stuff like you don't know. Like, he's not doing it for the praise. He's doing it because he loves you and the guys and the support and loves wrestling. So that's a really cool thing to hear about him. And he's been one of Dynamite Download's favorites for sure ever since we started, just watching his awesome dominance in the ring and his story. And when we talked to Griff, same thing. Griff, Lance took Griff kind of under his wing as well. And so it's really cool to see that kind of stuff like none of us would never know about.
Absolutely. Brian Cage, another one. Like he's always been in my corner. We wrestled each other back in like 2017. And I remember taking him to the airport and talking to him a little bit. And we just become friends pretty much quickly right off the bat. And so like even 3 weeks ago, he was like, Tony, what are we doing? Resign Fuego. Like, and I was just like shocked because I didn't ask him to say that. He just is texting Tony Khan randomly for me.
Awesome.
I'm like, my goodness.
Seriously, the pop, I think it was at the they did a stint at
Texas, yes, for
Texas.
the Ring of Honor
yeah,
shows.
when you came back, I was like, is this it? Let's go. Come on, let's the pop that you got. I mean, we definitely miss you out there, but you all, the mentee, also kind of the mentor now too. You're actually doing seminars, and you have a ring now too, kind of in the is it covered with snow right now?
No, we got it covered up. But I also am now a head trainer at the Texoma Pro Wrestling Academy. So I have my own ring, but then I also travel 30 minutes south of here, and I run training. Me and a couple independent guys, as well as D'Lo Brown occasionally. We all teach at the Texoma Pro Wrestling Academy. So I constantly am in the ring during the week, helping guys out, teaching guys. I love passing down the knowledge. I've been so fortunate and so lucky to be around some phenomenal names in wrestling. And so I let people know, I'm like, none of this is coming from my own head. It's something that I learned from someone who's done something in this business. And I love passing it down because I think so many things slip through the cracks when it comes to not only independent wrestling, but TV wrestling. And I just find so much enjoyment when I just recently, I mean, this is crazy because some people hate the flips and stuff, but I just had a student learn how to moonsault for the first time. And I remember just lighting up with excitement because like he never done a backflip before in his life. So to go from never doing a backflip within months, learning how to moonsault off the middle rope. Incredible. It was awesome. It was a pump of adrenaline and a dopamine hit that I very much enjoyed. It's almost as fun as wrestling sometimes, helping a student learn something new.
It's like your kids growing up.
Yeah. You must feel like that too when you see somebody that you've trained, like when they have a killer match and you're backstage and you're just like, yes, it's almost like you're out there too.
Absolutely. I mean, even just becoming friends with great wrestlers. I remember before anything on Dynamite, because me and Sammy Guevara have been friends for years. I just remember watching that first Dynamite. I was at my real job, and I made sure that the TVs were on at the real job because I needed to watch him wrestle Cody. And I just remember feeling like living it partly vicariously through him and being so proud of him because it felt like I made it too, just because he made it. So it's like there's sometimes when you have a personal connection with a wrestler or a trainee or a friend and you see them succeed, man, it's always a great feeling.
I want to focus on you. I do want to talk about you and Sammy. One of the things that we noticed is that sometimes Sammy gets a lot of unfair hate. Like there's like, where, and it's silly, but what I love is Sammy's attitude where he's like, hey, you could boo me or not. I'm going to just shut you up in the ring. That attitude. And he was at a Norfolk show and he was wrestling Brian Danielson, but we had a whole section that was booing Daniel Bryson and cheering Sammy. It was great. And almost to the point where Brian kept looking over at us like, what's going on? But like, I love that Sammy seems like, and I think you're like the same way where you probably can speak more to it, how it affects you on the inside, but you guys are almost like, hey, react how you want. We're going to show you what we can do in the ring, and that's what we're here for. And I love that it shuts people up when you guys show what you can do.
Yeah, I feel like it sometimes, Sammy gets a bad rep, and sometimes he gets some deserved stuff. I feel like there's a lot of misconstrued backstage things that happen that people don't fully know the full story on, but that's not my place to tell. I think at the end of the day, Sammy has this very punchable face, and I've told him this to his face as well. And he has such a strong self-belief Like no one's ever going to be able to tell him he can't do something. And I think it comes across as arrogance on screen.
Yeah.
But I think behind the camera, behind the curtain, he's one of the nicest people in the world. Like it's insane to me that if someone doesn't like Sammy, it's because they have these preconceived notions of, you know, this online persona or this in-ring persona because he looks so cocky. But I think it's just having a super strong self-belief that is misconstrued most of the time. And I think with me, I think I find it's funny because if people only know me for losing on AEW, there's like this cockiness. There's a cocky side of the internet that like these smart fans that think, oh man, it's so funny to me because some of the smartest fans are the dumbest about calling people jobbers or losers. Or it's like, if you were that smart to the business, you would understand the politics, not only the politics, but just the up and downness of the card. And like, at the end of the day, we're all looking for someone to co-sign us and believe in us. Sometimes it's the majority of the fans, and sometimes it is the booker in the back. And hopefully, if you're smart enough and if the iron strikes at the right time and if you're lucky enough, it happens for both sides. Either the fans are so in love with you or hate you so much and the booker's so behind you that things just happen at the right time. And other times you have one and you don't have the other. And at times I feel like I've had the fans and not the booker. And at times I feel like I've had the booker and not the fans in different promotions, not just AEW. And so for someone to watch the groundswell of support I got, even if they didn't watch the vlog and not understand that, hey, this kid has something or is talented in some sort of way, then I think they're not as smart as they think they are. And that's not an insult. That's just my opinion on the matter. But if you watch the way I wrestle or you watch the way I put my all into anything, you can't deny that I have this strange way to connect with audiences. It's just not only in wrestling, but in real life. There's a reason Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall and Cody and the Young Bucks and all these people took a liking to me because I'm very self-aware and I work very hard and I'm trying to be a nice, young, humble kid at the right times. But I also get it. Sometimes nice guys finish last, especially if you're a cocky, smart, dumb fan.
As fans from afar, you can tell, well, at least we can hope we can tell that when someone's genuine or not, and when someone's going through the motions or not. And people like yourself, and not to keep bringing up Sammy, like you can tell he's genuine at heart. I mean, on that All Access show, that showed a whole nother layer of him that made us even more super fans of him. But like some people will phone it in, which in certain sports, not just pro wrestling, they'll phone it in, but the passion, you can't teach that and you can't hide that, whether you're getting booed or cheered. Like you can see the raw emotion on people like yourself and others. And that's, to me, like the smart fans will always see that. And that's why the groundswell of support, I feel like, really started in AEW, and you heard it and you felt it. And it must have been such an amazing experience to have that tornado start as a little F1 and then ended as an F5 essentially on the high notes when you were in that time in AEW. And it was really cool rise.
Yeah, I think, me and Sammy and the boys joke all the time that that saying is very true. It's like you wish you knew that you were in the good old days as they were happening. But that time during the pandemic and right in 2021 when we went back on the road, I feel like everything was just hitting on all cylinders, man. And people got to see just how genuine and how raw the emotion was the night I got signed, because I cried in front of millions of people on TV, which a lot of people joined me in the waterworks that night. So it was a good thing.
Yeah, I just had allergies, man. I just had allergies. It wasn't anything. It was
yeah, man. Miro kicked me in the nose. I wasn't even, I was just, you know how your eyes water, kicked in the nose. Like I couldn't. Yeah, it was one of those.
Not many people have gotten contracts for any job live on TV. So, I mean, it had to be one of the highlight moments. But like, what is going? Do you like turn into tunnel vision? You almost like black out, like you can't believe this is happening. Like one of your best friends is literally rewarding you for all the hard work in front of everybody. I mean, like, what's going through your mind there?
Yeah, I remember. I started going to AEW in May of 2020. I did one show in May, like one show in August. And then in October I came, and that's when, they started booking me constantly every week after October. And so from October to when we went back on the road in July of 2021, I watched so many guys come in on Dark and get signed backstage. They just got signed, either offered like tier 0 deals, which they don't get the all elite graphic, but they still got signed, or they got fully signed on T. And I'm talking about so many people. And I just felt like I was getting passed up, and I felt like my talent wasn't getting the recognition I felt like it deserved. And I was racking my brain on like what I needed to do. And the closer we got to going back on the road, the more I thought, oh my God, they're not going to do it. They're not going to sign me. Right. I remember going to the Young Bucks office and just asking Nick, like, hey man, I don't know how to talk to Tony, and I don't want to be rude and interrupt him. But like, we got 2 months left here in Jacksonville, and I'm worried I am not going to continue with you guys. What do I need to do? And I remember he immediately was like, you know what? I'll go talk to Tony right now. And they went and talked to Tony. And unfortunately, the word was like, just keep doing what you're doing. But that's not what you want to hear when you're in the middle of the grind. You want to, if you tell me, hey, to get better, I'll figure out a way to get better. Give me some type of direction, and I'll work my butt off to go that way. And I just felt like everything I was doing was working with the audience, but I felt like it wasn't getting the recognition it deserved backstage, at least by the upper brass. And so to finally hear Sammy's music play after that Miro match, it's like I had 40 something matches, and I couldn't even get on television for a Dark match. Like I never even wrestled, like I never got squashed on TV. It was always on AEW Dark. So to finally be like, oh, you're going to wrestle Miro for a contract. I was like, well, I was just so focused on that. I didn't even think about them actually signing me. And then when Sammy's music hit, I just knew. I knew what was happening. I didn't have to see him and Tony walk out.
Oh, that's great.
There's no amount of words that can properly convey the overwhelming sense of emotion that came over me in that moment. It's like riding a million roller coasters, hitting the lottery 1,000 times. It's like you can't fully. I just remember breaking down when I got backstage. I just remember falling to my knees and like a bunch of the roster coming around and hugging me, because I just felt like I had worked so incredibly hard to make that happen and sacrifice money. And I quit my real job because they told me to stop going to AEW. So it was like such a make or break thing. And I felt like it was the final stamp, the final real proof, the validation I needed to say, hey, this was all worth it. Hey, this was everything you've done paid off. And it was the stamp to say, hey, you've made it. And to get that, even though I'm not with AEW anymore, it's like no one will ever be able to take that from me. And because that moment resonates with so many people around the world, all it really does is push me to get back to that spot to make sure I can create more moments just like that. Well,
you definitely been eating your Wheaties and drinking your creatine, man. You've been hitting that gym. Of course, you've got, just like they said in the chat, 10 kids because Fuego F, right? Make sure.
Yeah, that's a Cody lied, as they like to say, that he like the rumor that spread like wildfire.
Yeah,
but, I'll never deny it. I'll never deny it.
That's so awesome.
The origin of Fuego F's is even a crazier story. Because I'm going to tell it real quick. Just because the night after the first Blood and Guts in Jacksonville, we were all in Cody's office. Me, QT, Sammy, Cody, Aaron Solo. And then out of nowhere, JR walks into the room. And JR is talking and all of this. And JR made some type of comparison of like, man, once I was talking about the match, it felt like once this big moment happened, it should have finished. The match should be over after this big moment, right? He made the comparison talking about, once you blow your load, it's done with, right? Hey, we roll over, go to sleep. And Cody then jokingly says, yeah, Fuego, you wouldn't know nothing about that. And I was like, you're the one who made the joke, I got 1,000 kids. And I said, Fuego F's. And then the conversation keeps going. And then eventually JR leaves. And as soon as he leaves, there's like a 3-second silence. And then Cody goes, Fuego F's? You said that in front of the voice of a generation? And like the whole place pops. And and then he was like, well, you got to say it on the vlog now. So I made sure when the moment arrived, I said it on the vlog. And it took off from there.
That's all. Hey, did we ever make that a T-shirt?
I did, but I told the person to put on the T-shirt. it was supposed to be, it's supposed to say that, and then it have a pregnant lady and a bunch of babies on the t-shirt. And there's
with a Fuego mask.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And there was no pregnant lady on there. So it's just Fuego F's and a bunch of babies on the design. And I was like, ooh, this doesn't look good. This is not right.
Yeah, that's a little Pizzagate-ish there. That's a little different.
I mean, there's a few people that have those t-shirts out there, but no, I took it down, I think, off the website because I was like, oh, this is just a weird. If you don't know the context for any of this, it doesn't work. But it's very funny. Because that was the thing, right? I was so quiet backstage. When people found out I had 3 kids, everybody was shocked. Everybody was like, what? I was like, you're so young. I was like 24, 25 at that time. I just had my 3rd kid. So yeah, everybody was just like blown away at that time.
Man, that time at AEW was just so packed. Like, obviously, it's no secret. Like, selfishly, AEW, and we miss Cody Rhodes, and it's so awesome to see where he's at and what he's doing with WWE, and to have those guys in your corner and your friends and mentors in that time. Like, it just seemed like such a fun time. The early days of the vlog, you guys, traveling and goofing around and stuck in one spot and making the most of it. I came down to Jacksonville, I think twice for a show when you guys were running some shows, like early on when you were started to open up a few fans at the Daily Space. It was a great time. But yeah, I don't want to say the good old days of BTE days and Sammy's vlog and all the jokes and stuff. Like, everyone just seemed like a tight knit family. And that was one of the early things in AEW we really loved, is just like everyone just like had each other's backs. And it's seemed that way from the outside looking in, and the few interactions we've talked to people, and wanted everyone to succeed. And I know companies grow and all that, and there's tides of everything, but it was so fun to be, as a fan, from our perspective, you guys producing that type of content. So thank you for that. It gave us a look behind the curtain and made us even more fans of the people on BT and the crew. And, that was like the Dark Order really, got put on the map from just their goofiness on internet vlogs and stuff. So I love that element of it, that you guys had the creative freedom to do that. And did you like look forward to it? How did you guys come up with like skits and random stuff, or just kind of free flowing, and then Sammy edits it and puts it all together?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it was, what can we do this week? How can we extend it this week? And then, QT, the best part was because, like, if we could translate it to Dark, kind of like how Cutler and Avalon translated theirs from BTE to Dark, we never knew. Like, we started teasing this match and never knew if we were going to be able to ever book it, right? We were going to do it on the indies. We were like, after about 3 or 4 months of building it, Tony
had to have the blow off. Yeah.
Yes. And like QT was a babyface at the time. So it was like, it didn't make sense that he was a heel on the vlogs. So we were going to book it in Atlanta somewhere close, like at an indie. And Tony Khan heard of this idea and was like, hell no, we're not. We're doing this on Dark. And I was like, oh, snap. Okay. But Sammy gives me a lot of credit as the idea guy, because I would just come up with skits left and right. And there's some people you don't have to come up with things for. Like, Dustin Rhodes is an improv machine. So like we would just roll camera, and whatever would come out of his mouth and my mouth, we would play off each other. Sometimes we would break, sometimes we would create magic. Like, sometimes you don't need, and like at the end of the day, Cody was playing such a serious character on TV that he loved to be a little goofy, a little wild, a little crazy. And since he wasn't on BTE anymore, it was like the perfect avenue for me and him to like play off each other and bounce ideas. He has that funny side about him. Like, recently we were in the Vlog Crew group chat talking about last Monday on Instagram, he was giving The Rock shit about his beard. And we immediately was like, that's the Vlog Crew Cody, the BTE Cody that we don't get to see anymore. That's him. He's like, no. I mean, his beard looks nice. It looks fine. I mean, just it's a choice. But it was like, I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is great.
We do feel like there were a little bit of the heart and soul of AEW left with Cody. Another totally separate from Cody, but you had a tag team partner named Fuego 2, that Too Fast to Fuego was. I haven't heard what happened to him since then, but after you guys broke up, but you guys were bound for tag team gold. We loved that tandem. There was so much fire, so much enthusiasm behind that tag team. and maybe a moment of silence for Fuego 2. What was it like tagging with I guess a distant relative or your soul brother there?
It hurt real bad. Shout out to Cody Rhodes, because Cody is the one that when he found out about Fuego 2, he said, hey, we should bring him in, we should give him a shot.
I heard.
And so Cody, he was kind of the guy that helped bring Fuego 2 to life and bring him into the company. And unfortunately, when Cody left, we hadn't signed Fuego 2, and he went into a real dark depression, and he went missing, and we just presume that he's passed away. But I like to imagine that he went to finish his story in the sky. And so, shout out to Fuego 2. It still hurts, it still burns to think about what could have been, because we were undefeated. And oh man, what a fun time that was too. It's so funny because Fuego 2 was getting cheered so much, right? And like people didn't know that Cody Rhodes brought him to life. And Cody was getting booed at the time on television. See Cody getting booed, but Fuego 2 getting so cheered. I just felt like if we would have told people, hey, Cody's the one who brought Fuego 2 in, we could have fixed a lot of things. It was very funny, the dichotomy of that and how things played out. But definitely big shout out to Fuego 2.
It would have been great to have a Fuego 2 versus Cody Rhodes match if there was a way to work that out. I mean, I know, booking is complicated and whatnot.
I don't think Cody would have wanted to do the job like he would have had to do. He would have had to do the job.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
It doesn't work for me because Fuego 2 was a menace. He was a man on a roll. Yeah. He took the crowd by, like, here's the crazy part. There's only 3 matches in like a 6-month period that Fuego 2 even existed. And the fact that people still bring him up to me, I could tweet about Fuego 2 right now and it would do crazy numbers on X just because he created that whirlwind of a fan base within that short amount of time. It's insane to me.
Moment of silence for Fuego 2. Be with us in our hearts.
No, I'm someone who likes to set goals, and I like that you posted recently some of your goals for 2025, GCW gold, adding 20 more pounds. So I got to talk about, you touched on Fuego del Sol. What has changed in your regimen, your eating habit? Like, I like to hit the gym a lot, and it's not easy, especially if someone has a high metabolism, to put on those extra pounds, especially if you're burning a lot in the gym, or in the ring too. What are you doing differently training wise to try to hit some of these goals you got for 2025?
This is the funny non sequitur, but I was at AEW a few weeks back, and Daniel Garcia and me and QT were standing in a circle backstage talking. Hell yeah, hit the dance for one time. Danny's a good friend of mine. And Daniel Garcia brought up to QT about how good of a shape that QT's got himself in. And QT said a real funny line of like, oh, once you get rich, it's real easy to get in better shape. And I said, he's got a point, right? I think for the longest time, I was just undisciplined. I was super disciplined about getting ring time and trying to become a better wrestler, but I wasn't disciplined in the gym. And at the end of the day, you got to lock in. And I feel like,
Facts.
To be a complete professional wrestler, and Cody's even talked about the body shaming thing a couple months back. To be a complete professional wrestler, you got to put in work in the gym. You want to be on TV, you need a TV body, as they say. And the best way to get a TV body is to lock in and be just as disciplined as you are about being better in the gym as you are about being as good in the ring. And I just was so undisciplined. I would go 2 days a week, or 2 days here, 3 days there. I would be great about it for a couple weeks, and then my diet would be garbage. When I sat there and just locked in and started drinking my protein shakes and going every day, I slowly, even if it was just after 4 weeks, I saw like a giant leap in my physique. And I was like, oh, if I just lock in and stay disciplined, I can make this happen.
But Whataburger tastes so good.
I mean, and like convenient, right?
Yeah.
But meal prepping is a hassle, and it's expensive, and it's not fun. And I think convenience is king in this day and age, right? Mm-hmm. We have such short attention spans. We want everything right now, immediately. And it's more fun to you get that quick, immediate satisfaction and gratification if you get what you want and it tastes good. You'll worry about the after effects later. And so to really lock in is the simplest, most boring way to put it. But going to the gym, at least 5 to 6 days a week, and just making sure I'm hitting my calorie goal is the biggest thing to do. Because I feel like the second I start slacking on that, I see the difference in my body. I remember finding out that AEW is coming to Texas about two and a half months before they came earlier this summer, and I was like, I gotta go back there looking like a different person. I need to really put on the weight. So just locked in. It was the best I've ever looked. Just locked in for 2 months straight, going to the gym as much as possible. So much so that I feel like I was battling through a back injury because I was just going to the gym so much. Like, it was hard for me to, like, I could get through the match, but after I got through the match, I'd have to sit down for like 30 minutes just because my lower back was giving me issues because I was just going and working so hard.
Awesome. And speaking, working hard towards goals, next Saturday, of course, tomorrow night, you know, God forbid that they have any cancellations or flight issues. We're hoping, we're saying positive prayers for you on that. But you're going to Denver, and then next weekend you're tagging with your, not only your former vlog crew member, but your former boy band member, I believe. You know, you guys, is there any chance first, is the boy band coming up as well? And let's throw some A's in the chat for Alan Angels, the front man, Alan Angels. Let me make sure I get that. Now, this was originally going to be a 3-way, and then now it's a tag. You know, of course, swerves happen all the time in wrestling. How you feeling about this? And will this lead to some future collabs with the vlog crew?
There'll definitely be cameras out and about. You know, Alan Angels did some politicking to make this a tag match. So Dakota and Hunter, they better be ready. They better be ready, because when the vlog crew gets together, it's going to be a crazy, wild time. Me, Alan, Marco will be there. We tried to convince Aaron, Griff, and Sammy to come, but Sammy's got a big signing that weekend, so he can't be there. But, man, we'll definitely have some vlog crew shenanigans going on. And I will be putting some stuff up on my YouTube channel about it as well. So definitely stay on the lookout for that. Looking forward to it. How does it feel that, you know, now Marco, who I always felt like he could have been, if Marco turned heel in AEW, and he could have,
you always say that,
like X-Pac had his the X Factor, he could have gotten like Lance, Brian Cage, you know, he could have formed a heel faction. I thought it would have been great. But now dude's involved with Pro Wrestling Adrenaline, and talk about, you know, main event stars. You've got Fuego, you got Mr. Politics frontman Alan Angel there too. Looking forward to this new promotion. It's got to be exciting when a friend of yours has got a promotion going like that. Oh yeah, big shout out to Marco Stunt for helping making this happen. Like, man, I know, you know, he took a real big hiatus from pro wrestling for about a year and a half, and like you know, AEW came into Mississippi, and he got to have that collision moment against Jack Perry, and it really reignited his fire for pro wrestling. And so he started helping with Pro Wrestling Adrenaline, and I'm super pumped that I get to go and see him next weekend and be a part of everything that they're growing at Pro Wrestling Adrenaline. I'm really excited about it. That was such a great pop. Now, before your match tomorrow night and next Saturday, you have to face one opponent tonight, right here, before we let you go, because it is now time for the Dynamite download, Fast Five. All right, these are 5 quick questions. You just say the first response that comes to you immediately, and we will start with SPD's got the first question. Go right ahead.
This one's actually from Courtney in the chat. If you weren't a wrestler right now, what kind of career would you be pursuing? That's a weird question. I'm very creative. I'm very creative. So there's like a piece of me that would want to do like acting and stunt work, but also I feel like I'm pretty, like I said, I'm pretty personable and pretty likable. And I also have thought about getting into real estate, or, you know, car salesman as well. So something of that nature, maybe a salesman in some type of sales, or, you know, acting and stunt work for sure. Very cool. I am a huge fan of the Twitch stream. We love when you show off your massive Funko Pop collection. What is your Mount Rushmore of Funko Pops? Oh, see, I have this selection over here because these are like right now my favorites. Let me, right there. I have a Eddie Guerrero
a Cody Rhodes, a Rey Mysterio, a Dorothy from the Golden Girls, Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Lin-Manuel Miranda from as Alexander Hamilton from Hamilton, and as well as the Big Al mascot from Alabama, Roll Tide.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome stuff.
Now, go back to wrestling wise. What is one move you wish you could do that you've tried but just can't do it, or maybe you just don't want to try it anymore? Because you're very athletic in the ring. You got a great move set. You know, some people it could be as simple as the moonsault, but obviously you do that. And so, what is one move you're like, I'm not going to try that, or I can't. I have never mastered it that you wish you could.
I don't know. For the longest time, the shooting star press gave me trouble. I
Okay.
could do it to the floor, from the top rope to the floor, but I could never do it from the top rope to the ring. But recently, I haven't tried to land on anybody yet, but I can do it in the ring pretty well. But I land on my feet, or I get caught into a cutter out of it. Multiple QT caught me with a cutter out of it, and then recently I did it again, and someone else caught me with a cutter out of it. So I've never landed it or attempted to land on anybody. So I don't know how well I would do at landing it all. But shooting star is up there. And then recently I've started practicing the 630, and I think I could do it. I've just never done it on anyone either.
Wow.
Yeah, I put that on my social media, and it blew up on a couple different places. And a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, you don't need to do that. You're really good. You don't risk injury." And I'm like, "Of course," but you got to have the confidence. Sometimes you just know I've been so athletic all my life, and like grew up living on a trampoline that flips are so second nature for me that what would scare most people does not scare me.
Yeah, flips scare me.
So I don't know. I would love to do more power moves. Like, hey, I could gorilla press a few different wrestlers, but there's definitely wrestlers I couldn't gorilla press. But I watch Bandito sometimes lift these guys up, and I'm like, that would be dope to start doing those types of power moves. Yeah, I don't know.
That's good.
Maybe
I
the
like
630, maybe the shooter, trying to master those like I've mastered the tornado DDT.
Of course, Leah, look back at those matches, living on a trampoline, like, what was his name? KJ Orso, or Cage
for sure.
Now,
Cage, for sure.
you have your upcoming, hopefully if you can make it to the airport, you got your upcoming match in Denver against Royce Isaacs. You are a lot of people don't know this, but on the Twitch stream, you are famous for your Ric Flair inspired promos that are just super fire. So for everybody right here, can you give us just a taste of a promo on Royce Isaacs summoning the Ric Flair promo style?
Ooh,
take it away.
Me and Sam Stackhouse have this debate all the time. Is my Stone Cold impression better, or is my Flair impression better? I don't think my Flair is great, but I do think there's certain words that I can get Flair really good. There's like certain inflections in his voice where I can go like Arna Talia, like he'll put certain like.
Yep. Oldest ride,
longest line. Longest line. Just a little bit. And those I feel like I'm better at. But Stone Cold, I feel like I can do anything with, at least pretty close. But I will try to do a little bit of Rick, and when I feel not confident in Rick, I'll switch
into Stone Cold. All right, here we go. Royce, look out.
Woo, 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 brother. The Nature Boy is coming to Denver. And when I step into the ring with Royce Isaacs, I will be styling and profiling like none other. When I hit that tornado DDT, I'll look over, kissing the girls and making them cry. and that's the bottom line. You know, Stone Cold Steve Austin, when it comes to Denver, he's going to open up a can of whoop ass on Royce Isaacs. Stomp a mud hole and walk it dry. And that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so. A little bit of both. I won't say they're perfect, but I'll give myself a 6 or 7 out of 10 on both of them.
That is
great job.
I'm feeling a little under the weather today, but I'll take him.
That's great. Awesome.
Right.
Actually, I think under the weather and enhanced the Stone Cold a little bit. 10 stars, 11
You think
stars.
you're gonna be Steve Austin?
Have you seen the this
Stone
isn't a
Cold
question,
ET?
but have you seen the Stone Cold ET?
Of course. Stone Cold ET coming out there flipping the bird.
Oh,
right?
gosh,
I've actually got to team up with Shark Boy a couple times too. So we've went back and forth with Stone Cold impression a couple times too, which is hilarious.
Brilliant.
Final question for Fast Five. This should be a quick one. I guess anywhere in the world you could travel to you haven't been, where would you want to travel to?
I definitely, on those 2025 goals, Japan, man. And like I would already felt that way. Like I keep in touch with Shima, who used to be signed to AEW, and I would love to go over there for GLEAT or DDT or New Japan. I will figure out a way to make it happen this year. That's definitely number one for me. And then it was just only enhanced by watching Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty. I feel like my fire, no pun intended, would translate well to the Japanese audiences, and I would love to
absolutely
give that a go.
That would be tremendous. Let's book Fuego versus Shota. I could see that would be tremendous. There's so many. Who would you want? Who would be your dream match in New Japan?
Oh my goodness.
I mean Tanahashi. I mean you can't really say. Of
course, I definitely would go juniors though. Probably like Hiromu Takahashi would be up there for me. I would love to wrestle Zack Sabre Jr. of course as well, but I'm trying to think more of the Japanese style.
Yeah. Naito. Somebody's the chat saying Naito.
The legends, of course. Like there's like the certain, but like Shingo Takagi, I feel like me and him could like just me trying to like he's just so tough and he's so good right now. I would just love to step in the ring with Shingo, but there's like a ton. There's so many El Desperado, Despy. I feel like me and him could do some fun stuff. There's a ton of guys right now.
You and El Phantasmo would be great.
Would love that as well, man. There's a ton of guys that I would like to wrestle over there.
Fuego versus Yep. Everybody's saying Naito, Ishimori.
Oh my God, Taiji Ishimori would be definitely a big dream. Yes, for sure.
All right, let's book. Hey, you heard? Hey, let's get Tony Khan and let's get
everybody go tweet Rocky Romero. And just let him know that we need Fuego in New Japan.
He is like the international like ambassador. He makes it all happen, man. Love it. We need Fuego in the junior division. Exactly. Robbie Eagles. Okay.
Oh my God, cool. Would be great. Would be great. As well as Francisco Akira, which would be fun as well. Would love that.
Hey, have you done already on your Twitch or your YouTube? Have you done a recap of Wrestle Kingdom or?
I have not. See, I had a small podcast I did for about 10 episodes, but I got kind of pissed a couple people off in the back, and I was like, "Ooh, maybe this is not." And also, it made wrestling kind of feel like a job to watch it, where I feel like I wasn't enjoying it because I made it my job to do it. And so, but I did put up some thoughts about Gabe Kidd and Omega on X. So if anyone's interested, definitely go check out the tweet.
Absolutely. Fuego, it's great to talk to you, man. We'd love to have you back on. Thanks for donating so much of your time with us. Super excited. We hope your flight gets in for Denver. Go give Royce the bottom line Stone Cold Stunner, and then go give him the Fuego, give him the Tornado DDT, and maybe the 640.
630 or the Shooter Star. We'll figure it out. We're gonna make something happen.
Absolutely. And then of course there he is right there. This guy, look at you got to give him the Fuego del Sol action.
Yeah, I know. I definitely am not getting in a pose off with him tomorrow.
But we will be watching. If you can't make it to Pro Wrestling Adrenaline next Saturday, you can watch on Title Match Network streaming, just like Mission Pro Wrestling, which you have actually participated on, Thunder Rosa's promotion. So we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for donating your time. Good. We're looking forward to the bright future. We're looking forward to basking in the sun as you continue to light up pro wrestling. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Any final thoughts for everybody?
Oh, no, just follow me on all the socials and check me out on Twitch and, try to catch a Fuego match, whether it be in person or online somewhere this year, because I feel like I'm doing my best work right now. So definitely check me out.
Absolutely. And of course, it's Fuego Del Sol on Twitch, X, Fuego Del Sol vids on YouTube, Fuego Del Sol with a little underscore on the Instagram.
I love that graphic. Send it my way.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Absolutely. It's so on behalf of Fuego, because we know Fuego F's, on behalf of SBD and Fuego, this is Mind Runner saying we will see you next time. And go buy some Fuego merch, and make sure you check them out on Twitch and all the other socials. Have a good night.